welcome to everybody here at our Wortley facility in London, Ontario, in Wortley Village, and we're delighted that you're here, if you're here in person, but we're also delighted if you're logged in on your computer from home across our full region, which most of you will know spans pretty far east to west and north to south, all the way up to Goderich and beyond, and all the way down to St. Thomas and beyond, right to the southernmost contiguous point of Canada, Point Peely, and with our camp there, Camp Henry. If you're logged in from there, that's great. But I also know, because we have award recipients, we have people logged in from across the country and even into the United States, I'm told, in Virginia at least. So that's very exciting news, and we're delighted that you're here. Thank you again for being here at this annual community gathering, and our annual community gathering, of course, for the last couple of years, unfortunately, has been a gathering that's only been online. But I can tell you, like many people, it is so exciting and exhilarating to be back in person. There's really no replacement for that, and it's wonderful to be able to be here and see so many of our supporters. Just wanted to note for those that are here, I suppose, but really more for the folks who are at home, and we'll be distributing this afterward, that we will be recording this event and distributing it so it can be shared far and wide. Before we get deeply into our agenda, I'm delighted to invite Krista Thompson to join us, one of our wonderful staff, to provide us with some remarks as a land acknowledgement. Krista, please come up.
We acknowledge that the land on which we gather, learn, and play is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabeg, Haudenosaunee, Lenape-Wauk, and Shinnecoin nations, who have had long-standing relationships with the land, water, and region of the Southwestern Ontario. We acknowledge all the treaties that are specific to this area: the Two-Row Wampum Belt Treaty of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Silver Covenant Chain, the Beaver Hunting Grounds of the Haudenosaunee, Nafan Treaty of 1701, the McKee Treaty of 1790, the London Township Treaty of 1796, the Huron Tract Treaty of 1827 with the Anishinaabeg, and the Dish with the One Spoon Covenant Wampum of the Anishinaabeg and Haudenosaunee. This land acknowledgement is the first step towards reconciliation. It is the work of all of us to step towards decolonizing practices and bringing our awareness into action. We encourage everyone to be informed and make our clients informed about the traditional lands, treaties, history, and cultures of the Indigenous people local to this region.
Thank you so much, Krista, for kicking us off with that important message. I'm going to get right to providing you with the first speaker that we're going to be having, our why story. Many of you know that we like to kick off pretty much all of our meetings, all of our gatherings with a why story to really ground us and remind us of the importance of our work and the reason we do it. So I'm delighted. I've had the chance to briefly meet Suzanne ahead of time, but Suzanne Amlin's here as somebody who can talk to us about one of our programs, Y Opportunities, and the experiences that she had therein. And Suzanne, welcome. I'm delighted you're here.
I was diagnosed bipolar when I was 14. I don't remember having strong feelings about it. Ironic, since most of my existence was strong feelings. I just sort of put it in my pocket alongside my other diagnoses: OCD, social anxiety. I didn't really understand the impact these strings of words would have on me at the time, how they would shape the trajectory of my success and lack of it. I just knew that my mom was really into telling me that the mom of the guy from Lord of the Rings had bipolar. She, of course, was referring to Sean Astin and his mom, Patty Duke. I, unfortunately, thought she was referring to Carrie Fisher. She also has bipolar, but is not the mom of Sean Astin. What an embarrassing flub that is in casual conversation and trivia nights. I tell people I dropped out of high school, but I was actually asked to leave. This was when I was 16, after missing most of my high school experience. I had 72 absences, by Christmas of my 12th grade year, that semester. I think those were individual classes, because I'm not even sure there were 72 school days that year. I've never counted. I was basically following the pattern I had since 9th grade, missing entire months, showing up sporadically to take tests I was wildly unprepared for, or being so scared of my classmates I'd hide in the bathroom, gasping in fear, or in the attendance office, sleeping on a cot. I could often fake tests that followed patterns: math, spelling, French conjugations. History was a different beast. I came up with alternative history narratives. The cotton gin was now a lovely girl who picked cotton instead of a major industrial revolution breakthrough. Plessy v. Ferguson is now one person instead of a landmark court case. The V is versus, not a middle initial. I look back and laugh now, but I wish I had some kind of system in place to save me. I was clearly floundering, but teachers simply told me to get notes from buddies. I had no buddies. I was left on my own, to my detriment, and I felt trapped in a futile cycle of no education and no prospects for more than 20 years. Enter the YMCA. I found them by chance on the Facebook job marketplace. It specifically was looking for self-identified disabled job applicants. I more than paused. I leapt. I had never seen a job posting like this before. Everything I had ever come across, I was laughably underqualified for. Resume sent. The training addressed so many relevant things. For me personally, a big one was disclosing. I have been on too many interviews where disclosing inevitably comes up. It does, sadly, when a resume is sparse. It is illegal to discriminate based on disability, but it doesn't seem to matter. Employers view you as a liability. Why take a risk when there's a normal applicant right here? Employers worry about reliability, injury, theft, even awkward encounters with customers. Bipolar and similar mental illnesses are heavily stigmatized. We're never portrayed in the media when we're doing well, only a movie adaptation of someone's deepest despair or total loss of reality. I've learned through this course I'm better not disclosing. You may have come to the opposite conclusion. That said, I'm glad we could safely disclose with this program and our employer could hire us somewhat risk-free with the subsidized wages. This free trial of labor was the push so many of us needed to show our skills and show that we can perform as well as our non-disabled counterparts. On to my placement and permanent hiring. It's been a literal dream. I don't think I could have gotten this job without the help of the YMCA. I now am happily employed at Juniper Books, a rare and used bookstore on Ottawa Street. I am a book person. During all my years of unemployment, I was busy reading in the realm of 1,800 books. I feel like as messy as my brain can be, it is finally being put to good use. My boss is amazing and understanding. If I'm tired and just need to relax, he lets me read during my shift, as long as I still attend to customers, of course. I meet a lot of people who are struggling and take refuge in books. I tell them about my journey with the YMCA Opportunities Program, and I sincerely hope that some of the referrals went through. I don't want to be dramatic, but this program changed my life. I not only got a job, but I got my dream job. You may be asking, okay, why are you telling us your life story? I'm demonstrating what happens when support systems are in place. Mental health wasn't really spoken about in the late 90s and early 2000s openly like it is now. There was no hashtag Bell Let's Talk. There was no talk about neurodivergence or disability visibility. I feel like there's an entire population, a forgotten population of people who have so much to offer if only patience and genuine care wants to see us thrive. That is what the YMCA is. It takes the time to see, It takes the time for us to see what we have to offer, to see where we can flourish, and to ask for what we need. It is the exact opposite of my high school experience. It is bespoke job training, personal connection, and outreach with hiring managers, and learning to be our best advocates. We know what we're good at. Through the YMCA, we learn to be our best cheerleaders. I did the program last February and was hired in April, and I feel like my team has never stopped rooting for me. Best Facebook ad ever.
Wow, what an amazing way to start. And Suzanne, your story is one of inspiration and resilience, and it's so kind of you to lay some of the credit for that to the Y, but if I could just throw that right back at you, you deserve all the credit for your story, and I thank you so much for sharing it with us. Yes. I'm now going to get into some of our association highlights for the year, and I'm going to read them from some text that I produced here. And if those of you who've heard me speak in public before, you know I don't tend to approach these things by reading from a script, and I'll tell you why I'm doing that at the end, just so you know. You'll find out. It is with great pleasure that I share with you all the incredible achievements of YMCA of Southwestern Ontario in 2022 and into 2023. Despite the challenges posed by the pandemic, we have made significant progress in various areas, from asset management to environmental sustainability, infrastructure funding, community outreach, and more. One important accomplishment this year was consolidating our asset management work into one department, and now we're partnering with the YMCA of Three Rivers to expand these efforts even further. We established the Green Team to promote environmental sustainability, and we've received millions of dollars in infrastructure funding for capital projects across the region. We also launched the Community Starts Here campaign, which gives donors various options to support our mission more clearly in the way that means the most to them. We converted our membership model during the pandemic and through 2022 into 3 tiers, which provides greater flexibility and choice for our members. Additionally, we renamed our fitness facility in Southwest London from Bostwick to the StarTech.com Community Centre, Library, and YMCA, thanks to an exciting naming sponsorship arrangement that will bring $1.5 million to support our work. Our road back to financial sustainability continues this year without government pandemic funding support, but a budgeted operating surplus of just over $2 million, which allows us to invest in our infrastructure, keep it up to date, and to grow our regional impact. Our work in equity, diversity, and inclusion continue to ramp up, and we've now resumed in-person meetings to focus on special events, training and development, and truth and reconciliation. We also trained more staff in mental health first aid, enabling them to help those who are struggling more effectively. Childcare had a very important phase is in a very important phase as we move fully into what we call QUELC, which is better known as $10 a day childcare, universally accessible childcare. It was and continues to be a challenging transition, and I offer my kudos to our amazing team as we've navigated through this significant change for our region, our association, and our country. Finally, we're thrilled to be back in person more consistently in 2023, running programs like Project North, Y-Works, Y-Mind, Youth Employment's Skills Strategy, and Y Transitions, amongst many others. We've also hosted in-person events like Run the Runway and staff professional development and year-round appreciation gatherings, and recently brought back the Women of Excellence event, and to great success. All of these achievements would not have been possible without the dedication and commitment of our staff, volunteers, and supporters. I am extremely proud of the work we have done and look forward to continuing to serve our community with excellence. And here is why I wanted to read a script to you today, because I did a little experiment. One of the major advancements, if you want to call it an advancement, certainly a major change in our world that many of us know about, is AI, artificial intelligence. And we're trying very hard to figure out how all of these things affect us. And this speech was written by artificial intelligence. I went to my phone and I said, here are all the things I'm really super excited about and proud about. Can you please write me a speech? And that's what it came up with. We live in scary, interesting times. Okay, there is a part two that's a little less scripted and not drafted by EI with my inputs, obviously. But before I do that, I'm delighted to invite up our board chair, Christina Shaw, to bring greetings from the board and to share a few remarks. Christina?
Thanks, Andrew. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming inside on this beautiful, beautiful night and joining us in celebration tonight. On behalf of the Board of Directors, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our amazing staff and our incredible volunteers for their dedication, their hard work, especially over the last 3 years. Our YMCA has shown true resilience and a fighting spirit as we responded and evolved to the pandemic and new times. Our volunteers, our staff, you were challenged like never before. And despite continued closures, openings, closures again, daily changes in your guidelines, in your working conditions, you, like no other time, stood up for us and for our communities. You were there for our members, our program users, and for everyone. You put them first in everything that you did. I am so proud of the Y's response and resilience through these last few years. And as we look forward to 2023, we are super excited as we work on a new strategic plan for the next few years. It's truly an exciting time to be moving forward with our Y. So thank you all for being part of it, and we can't thank you enough for what's to come.
Well, thank you so much, Christina, and I also am filled with optimism and energy for the next coming months, but also the years to come. So just a few further remarks regarding not just where we are today and new technologies, but also looking more focused in on 2022. And to reiterate some of the things I said earlier, I do want to focus in on 2022, even though I know we're heading into summer. The annual report, which I'll tell you how to access before you go, really is focused, of course, on 2022. So that's what we're going to focus on now as we just look back on some of the exciting things going on. So many highlights you'll find in our annual report. I look forward to you having a chance to see that again. I'll mention how you do that. But as Christina mentioned, our staff have really operated in what have been unprecedented conditions. Now, there have been pandemics before, but not in any of our lifetimes, and so unprecedented for us, but also the world has changed a lot since the last pandemic. And so it has been a really challenging period, frankly, for us. But it's also been a very inspiring period. We faced extended closures, lifeguard shortages. I mentioned with QELC, the Canada-wide early learning childcare program. That change has been certainly very relevant for us, as have been shortages of ECEs, which are vital to not just how our Y works, but how our country works. Incredibly important, and that's been a challenge for sure that we have been focused upon. Despite those things, our staff do continue to thrive, and our employee engagement remains very high. In fact, we had, amongst all the Ys that produce what is called a Work Well report, which is basically a staff survey with data that comes from that, we had what were considered by the provider the best results of a YMCA in the country. And if that isn't impressive to you, it may be even more impressive when you learn that we've been recognized by Forbes magazine as one of Canada's top employers. During the pandemic in 2022, we kept children and youth at the forefront of who we are and what we do. So just some numbers here to help you understand and have that be fully illustrated. We had 10,332 children in our day camps. We had 1,552 in our childcare centers, and an additional 3,801 in our school-aged programs. We also, as you've been hearing along the way, and some of you have greater familiarity with, you'll also hear more about it as we continue through this program tonight, but we began offering Y-Mind, which is a program specifically created to help youth thrive with accessible mental wellness supports. We also received a $4 million grant from Canada, the Government of Canada, to improve student success through our YMCA Youth Transitions program. Very exciting for me. This past summer in 2022, we were able to run overnight camps at Camp Queen Elizabeth and Camp Henry, and many of you will know that is my path into the Y, was through overnight camping. So it really did mean a great deal to me to be able to offer those traditional camp programs again at our wonderful overnight camps. We pride ourselves very much as a charity, and we continue to take pride and know that it's critically important to the community that a third of our members and participants receive financial support to access YMCA programs and services. And that is just so important. In fact, we've done a bunch of work in this space and looked at programs where we unlock support like government funding, as well as things that we fund through our own operations, as well as things that we fund through donations that are made to the Y. And in 2022, more than $20 million in funding assisted people from across Southwestern Ontario to access our programs and services. It's a really remarkable number. That means over 25,000 children, youth, and adults and seniors accessed programs like childcare camps, newcomer services, health and fitness memberships, all at a reduced fee or no cost at all. Very important to note. Last year was also a year of rebuilding and growth, if you can believe it, despite the challenges. So we opened a new facility with our partners out in the county in Watford. We expanded and built upon our program offerings, committed to newcomer programs, and just new services all across the region. So that's very exciting. In fact, with our settlement programs, I mentioned some numbers earlier, we had over 4,400 newcomers come through our settlement services, which is very exciting as we can help them to build and thrive in our country here in Canada. With the help of $150,000 as a grant, we were also able to invest in connecting our communities through a more robust digital Y experience, which is exciting, and we want to thank Trillium for that support. And just to get to the finances as well, 2022, as I said earlier, was a year of growth and recovery. That's true in our financials as well. We had some rebounding revenue, which was really great to see, particularly with memberships, and I mentioned camp as well. And that was good because we are into 2023 now without pandemic-related government support for wage subsidies, for rent subsidies, for utility subsidy, that type of thing. That stuff's come to an end. But not everybody's come back from the pandemic just yet. So that creates a challenge. But last year, we generated an operating surplus of over $1 million, I mentioned earlier in my earlier remarks. That helps us reinvest and grow and invest into our facilities so they can remain beautiful and accessible like the way that this one is. And that was a great result. We, in fact, going into the year, had a budgeted deficit, so that was a very positive result. But as a result of a reconciliation that we had with a dispute that went favorably for us, as well as cost diligence, and as well as certainly other types of government supports, including ones we didn't expect, because going way back to January 2022, you'll recall, if you think back that far, that was a shutdown period, so we ended up with some pandemic-related supports in that phase of time as well. We really ended the year with a strong focus on bringing communities together, and we're looking forward to the future of our Y and deepening our connection with each community we serve. And just finally, to wrap up, a little shout out to Christina and the board. She mentioned the strategic plan process that we're entering now. Many of you will be engaged in that process. We look forward to your engagement to help inform where we're going from here. We think it's an exciting future. That process, of course, is led by our board, and I want to thank our board for how they've been through this pandemic. Those of you who've worked in not-for-profit settings before know that you're really only as good as your board at any given time. And our board is outstanding, and that's an enormously important part of our vitality and health. So thank you very much to our board. And with that, I'm going to move on to the next part of our agenda for another set of remarks. I'm really excited to have Roxanne Gilroy Machado come up, and so Roxanne actually has helped us launch an exciting initiative that I mentioned earlier, Y Mind. So Roxanne, if you don't mind, please coming up, and we look forward to hearing from you and more about Y Mind. So ladies and gentlemen, Roxanne Gilroy Machado.
sorry, I should be here. I'm based out of our Sarnia location, the YMCA Learning and Career Center, and around August I was asked by the VP that I report to, Jackie Ramiel, hey, could you get this new program up and going? So now I'll describe YMind to you. So YMind is a no-cost, 7-week, sorry, I don't want to touch the mic. So it's a no-cost 7-week mental wellness program funded by the Public Health Agency of Canada. So it's for teens and youth, and it's based on mindfulness activities and the foundational concepts from acceptance and commitment therapy. So essentially, how we feel about YMind is that anxiety is not going to go away. It is a part of you, and through the program, you can learn the tips and strategies in order to deal with your anxiety. So here's just a description of the two versions of YMind. So we have teen and we have youth. So the Public Health Agency of Canada defines teen as 13 to 18 and youth as 18 to 30. So it's a 7-week program. We keep it at a maximum of 12 participants. It's a closed group program, so what that means is that you register for the program, and it's not a drop-in program, and it's to the benefit of the participants because they learn and grow together. And we also offer in-person and virtual programs. And these are the objectives of YMind. So YMind is an early intervention mental wellness program. So the idea is that teens and youth can be given the skills and strategies to address their anxiety early on, before it becomes to a point where they need more professional interventions. And we want to educate the participants on ACT and mindfulness, as well as provide a safe space for them where they can meet different teens and youth that have the same life experiences as themselves. So to address accessibility barriers, the program's offered at no cost, and we have a self-referral process. So even though it is a mental wellness program, teens and youth can refer themselves. We offer in-person and virtual to address that accessibility barrier, and no diagnosis is required. So the teen or youth just has to identify as having anxiety. All youth are welcome to the program. A membership is not required, and it's offered in a community setting. And these are the definitions of mild to moderate anxiety that we use. So it is a program for mild to moderate anxiety. And we always ask the participants if YMind is a good fit for them, because we want them to benefit from the program, and if it's not a good fit for them at this present time, we just ask them to reapply later. So anyone that's interested in the program, you can go online and fully register online. And then our facilitators will connect with you to do our intake process. This is a timeline of YMind. So YMind was developed by the YMCA of British Columbia. So in 2014, they recognized a gap in services when they were delivering employment programs. So they found that youth that were experiencing anxiety didn't really do well when it came to securing employment. So they developed the YMind program, and then it ran successfully up until currently. And they had a provincial scale up from 2017 to 2020. And then currently, we're part of the national scale up, and YMind is being delivered by YMCAs across the country. And here's just all of the places just in British Columbia where Y-Mind is being delivered. So to date, I started Y-Mind in September, and we had a full staff team ready to go in January. And from January to March, we were able to get 3 Y-Mind sessions up and running, and we've completed those 3 cycles of Y-Mind. We have a session actually starting tomorrow in Sarnia, and we have 2 more that are set to run in the next few weeks in London, teen and youth in person. So we're really on track with hitting our targets and having a positive impact on the teens and youth in our community. And I will be handing the program over to Cherie Calvert, whose background is in mental health and wellness. So we're really excited for the program, and it's already having a positive impact. We've already impacted 40 teens and youth to date. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roxanne. We're really excited to have this being launched and having impact already, but now it's really the point at which it really begins to go and grow and thrive, and we're going to expand it through the region more and more. So very, very exciting, and really appreciate your work to help get that up and rolling and also sharing that with us. Now, as a charity, we believe that it's important that we work with the community broadly, and in order to do that, we rely on donor support. We also have deep relationships with sponsors, and it's important that we have the ability to share our philanthropic YMCA story with the communities we support. And so, a tradition with our YMCA is to present our William Bowman Award at the annual community gathering, where we are here today, to a high-level volunteer or philanthropist whose dedication and service helps strategically guide our association, build philanthropic resources, and or raise the profile and stature of the YMCA of Southwestern Ontario. I'd like you to please join me in welcoming Christina Hartley, our Vice President of Development, to share more about the Bowman Award and also share with you this year's recipient. Christina.
Thanks, Andrew. William Bowman, a philanthropist, a railway man, founded the YMCA in London on November 28, 1856. In addition to the YMCA, his philanthropic endeavors included being a director and trustee of the London Humane Society, president of the London Mechanics Institute, a forerunner of the London Public Library, and a benefactor of the Protestant Orphans' Home. The earliest known record of the YMCA in London is contained in a brief entry in Mr. Bowman's diary on January 12, 1857. On November 29, 1858, the Free Press carried a report of the YMCA's annual meeting in which William Bowman was elected our first president. This year, I am so pleased to present the award to my dear friend, Bill Stewart. Bill joined the Centre Branch YMCA in 1983. Yes, 40 years ago. Bill says, "I started to feel the tug for fundraising for the Y after experiencing such wonderful joy about the organization when both Sylvia and our children were involved with Moms, Pops, and Tots, and of course, YMCA Camp Queen Elizabeth. I had the pleasure to work with Bill when he and Rod Hancock chaired our annual fundraising campaign at the Centre Branch YMCA. Bill would meet with members before or after their workout to share his story, but also to share the charitable mission of our YMCA to ensure that all children and families had access to our programs and services, regardless of their ability to pay. He would then end most conversations by offering to match their donation to the annual campaign to double their impact. When it was time for the YMCA to launch our Build, Rebuild, and Renew campaign, which saw the construction of our Stony Creek YMCA, Bill was one of the first to commit to our capital campaign cabinet under the guidance of Jeff McCowan. That campaign successfully built the Stony Creek YMCA, and it gravitated Bill to become a member there as well. Bill is an avid donor with a passion for sharing his plan giving story. He's a program advocate and is always singing the praise of YMCA staff for delivering meaningful connections and programs. When I connected with Bill about being this year's selected honoree of the William Bowman Award, he noted that Sylvia was actually at the Y at that moment, and he had been on the bike at 6:05 that morning at our Stony Creek YMCA. Bill embodies everything the YMCA stands for. He cares about his Y family, he creates a family at each branch he goes to, and he truly cares about the direction of our YMCA and is deeply committed towards sharing his knowledge and advice. In terms of philanthropy, he supports everything the Y does in so many ways. He helped to rebuild YMCA Camp Queen Elizabeth. He financially supports our annual programs to provide financial assistance for membership and access to programs and services. He helps to send kids to camp when we run our Fill the Bus campaign, and he is always sharing his YMCA story and encouraging others to think about the YMCA in their planned giving. Bill is a trusted advisor and continually promotes the YMCA as a partner in health and wellness. It is my utmost pleasure to present this year's William Bowman Award to Bill Stewart. Bill?
Thank you very much. I might start off by saying, Andrew, most of my family would say I've been dealing with artificial intelligence for most of my life. When Christina called me several weeks ago, I guess I went into my aw shucks routine and then tried to rationalize by saying, well, if they've got an 80-year-old as a president of the United States, maybe a almost 78-year-old might be able to receive an award like this, and I am very grateful for that. First to the streamers, and I hope they're there, I'm responsible for having the representatives from Virginia. My daughter Stephanie lives there with my grandson Walter, and I just give a big shout out. Tomorrow I head off in my car and I will be visiting my daughter and grandson. My daughter, very briefly, she's a triathlete, and this is an excuse for her to get away and do her triathlons when I'm able to get down there to visit Walter. And a big shout out to my son Jeffrey in Kingston. He and his wife, my daughter-in-law Heather, are school teachers there, and I have two wonderful grandchildren, Avi and Tig. So hello. Now you can, if you're not on the streaming, it doesn't matter, I don't know. To my family here, they have been wonderful. My wife Sylvia, my sister Janet, who needs no introduction, twice a woman of excellence, my son Sean and my daughter Katie, and my little beautiful granddaughter Ellie. You keep it up, dear. You're going to be later in my remarks. This building brings back special memories for me. When I had the privilege of being the chair of the United Way campaign, I was going to say 1,000 years ago, but it was 32 years ago. I had the privilege of speaking to the then Catholic school board administrators led by Ken Regan. And little did I know, I hadn't been that involved other than to go to the Y and work out, but I really got the passion for what it means to be involved in the community. And just to tell you the story, the year I was the campaign chair, I worked with no other than Sean Elliott, who was at the United Way as the staff person involved with the campaign. So I worked very closely with Sean, became very good friends with him. Little did I know that later on, Andrew would appear at the United Way as the CEO. So there's just all these connections, and the beauty about doing what I've been able to do in the area of volunteerism is, and I think people who've spent a lot of time doing volunteer work will say that they would never have met people if they hadn't done this. And I am just so grateful that I've had the opportunity to be involved not only with the Y, but with Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and a number of other organizations. So it means a lot to me. I just have to... So again, I don't know whether it's coincidental or whatever, but now that I see Christina here, it was referred in an article about Colin Galloway and his dad, Fred. Christina will remember Fred Galloway was also a part of a wonderful connection. He being the general manager at the time the Y was resurrected, I call it, at the center branch. Fred was very responsible for leading the Goodwill organization, which I had again the privilege of being the CEO in the early 2000s, into a strategic plan. I came to love books rather late in life, and one of my favorite authors, Louise Penny, she of the Armand Gamache novels, usually does something at the end of her books. She kind of reflects on her life and things that are going on around her. And she said something to the effect that you can do things in life that make you happy, but you can't do something that make you joyful. So the things that are embodied in this award make me happy, but the joy that I get is seeing my granddaughter Ellie run into the treehouse, and the chaos that is a Saturday morning at Stony Creek. Sometimes it was the chaos that was in the Y Plus at the center branch way back when, but we won't get into that. But those are the kinds of things that make me so grateful, and I hope humble. I want to say that I was talking with Sylvia and Janet the other day, and I couldn't remember the name of the receptionist way back when at Learners. And Janet said something to the effect, it just makes calling Learners enjoyable. Well, I can tell you that getting up usually early, most mornings during the week, I arrive at the Stony Creek Y, and I am welcomed by a very caring staff. I can't name all of them, but I certainly will name a few because they're the gatekeepers at 6 o'clock. Connor, Marina, Belle, and Milt. They make this place so welcoming. And the last thing I want to say is that I have a spoiler alert, and that is, prior to the introduction of pickleball into Olympics, based on my instigation, they are reviewing the stationary bike opportunity for Olympics. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
The stationary bike event at the Olympics, that's must-watch TV right there. Bill, I'm so delighted that you're being acknowledged in this way, and I feel so grateful for our friendship over many, many years now. And you're right, it's funny how things cascaded and how that played out over decades now. Those of you who know Bill won't be surprised to hear that he's the kind of guy who, just out of the blue, there's a voicemail in your inbox, just with no particular reason, just wanted to call and see how you're doing and make sure that the pandemic wasn't getting you down, even if you're running a Y. And I hope you know, Bill, how much that stuff means to me. And I also know there are many people who count on Bill for that kind of encouragement. So thank you very much for everything you do. Bill mentioned a few of our truly incredible staff, and we have so many incredible staff. that we're so proud of. And one of the things that we were unable to do during the pandemic was to formally present our Staff Service Awards. So I'm going to welcome Tracy Stubb, our Senior Vice President, of Human Resources, to the podium right now, so that we can honor the many staff who celebrated milestones with us over the last 3 years. And so, Tracy, over to you.
Thanks very much. I really, really appreciate being able to do this. As the leader of the human resources area for an organization, I can say that this is definitely one of the most fun responsibilities that I have, so I always look forward to this. I'd like to say a special thank you to all of these folks that we're going to honor tonight. Each of these service award recipients have been loyal to our Y, have been dedicated, and they've given a significant portion of their lives to helping drive our mission forward. We're very grateful for you. And thank you so much. We're reaching back to 2020, as Andrew just mentioned, and we're going to be recognizing folks with milestone anniversaries from 20 years and beyond. So what we're going to do is just, we'll call up the individuals for each particular time and have them come up so Miranda can present them with a flower. And if they could stand here where we can then get a picture of them, if they're here. And if not, then we'll just acknowledge them virtually. So our first individual from 2020 that has 20 years of service is Stella Perry. No, Stella's here. So Stella, I hope you're watching. Thank you. All right, on our next ones. So we have a group of people for this one. So 25 years with us in 2020. And that's Cynthia Frizzell, Joelle Rinker, Martha Walters, Tamara Milmine, and Bonnie Norris. So follow me quick now. And 30 years as of 2020, Teresa Hunter. Is Teresa in the Okay, and for 2021, for 20 years, we have Jennifer Barber, Vicki Willetton, Rebecca Webster, Michelle Mills, Teresa Bayless, Chris Piccolo, Bridget Clark, and Teresa Webb. Don't trip over that cord. Okay, and for 25 years on 2021, Brenda McCormick. Wow. 20 years in 2022. We've got Huda Abdullah, April Cambridge, Kelly Cates, Yolanta Chatter, Christina Stamme, Rahim Syed, Laura Hamilton, Jennifer Gilbert, Magdalena Medina, and Marjorie Gibbons. 30 years in 2022. Catherine, Katie Paler, Eva Kabai, Lena King, and Leslie Hutton. And Brian's service, 40 years. And for 2023, for 20 years, Jen Fenn. 25 years, Shelley Flatley, Angela Wessinger, and Sabrina Shaw-Smith. Years, Eric Berger. Did you mess with her computer or something? Yes. "35 years, Mary Kilburn John." And another 40-year employee, Gail Paisley. Thank you all so much. That is just an amazing group of individuals that have dedicated so many years. So congratulations.
All right. Also one of my favorite moments, and I didn't know how much I missed it until this moment, actually. But longevity is one thing, and excellence is another. And I can tell you that the group of people that were up there, I have the pleasure of having known them for a long time because of the longevity, but I have the benefit of seeing excellence, truly wonderful people working in all sorts of ways within the organization. And I thank you so much for your long-term commitment, but also the excellence that you bring to your positions and the lives you've changed. Think of all those years and that quality of folks. Imagine the change in people's lives that has occurred because of that group. So one more round of applause for the full group of them. So we have one more speaker, two speakers, excuse me, but we have one more presentation to wrap things up. It's another Y story, and that's coming to us regarding youth transitions, and I'm going to ask Katie Ennis and Juan Lopez to please come up Katie and Juan, are you there? We are. Come on up. Please join us. We are looking forward to hearing from you.
Hi everyone, my name is Katie,
And I'm Juan.
and we are youth support workers for the Youth Transitions Program. Although this program is relatively new and has only been running about 8 months in London, we have seen great support and great progress within our program with our youth.
One story that we want to share is a person that is a newcomer. He's 14 years old. He's coming from a place that has difficulties in terms of economically as well as violence. When he came, he was very shy. He was not engaging with people. We noticed that since the beginning because it was a lot of shyness, and that lasted through months. Also, at some point, Mom also called us and said, hey, I'm noticing the same thing at home. He is shying away from people, he's shying away from his family, and he's only engaged in the phone. So that was very striking. It was, the level of it was very high. So we had something to do about it. We needed to do something.
So to address these concerns, we focused on creating a stronger relationship with him, making sure that he felt like the program was a safe space to be in. And we also created and facilitated a internet safety session to support him. And we also brought in a police officer to speak on his expertise on the topic.
Yeah, so he was engaging also with, Mom told us that he was engaging with people that, through social media, that were strangers. So that's why we started to do all these things. And what we noticed is that we got a lot of attention from his side in a positive way. So after the sessions, he came to us and said, hey, which are the people that I should engage with in social media? How do I know if someone has my best interest or not? So he was starting to notice what is the right way to do things and maybe some potential risks as well. So that was very good. And then days later, Mom contacted us and let us know that he was being more attentive at home with his family. He was engaging more with his parents and siblings, putting the phone away when it needed to be away. And in the afternoons, they typically go out to the park and play. He was engaging now with them instead of being on his phone. So those were kudos, and we were very happy for that happening.
So through various activities, including sports and workshops, he has also grown to become more social in the program as well. And now we see him, and he has a big smile on his face, he's laughing, his funny side is really starting to come out, and he's making a lot more friends. So he is also an individual who is struggling in school, and his first language is not English, and his mother also shared with us that he might have a learning disability. And at first, we were going to him, reaching out and trying to see if he needed support with his homework, if he had homework to work on. But later we saw a shift in him. We saw that he was coming to program with homework, ready to receive support, and even when we didn't have homework club days, he was asking for our support, and if we weren't available, he would be taking the initiative to do it on his own.
So all of that was great to know. And then the mom again also contacted us and let us know that the teachers shared positive feedback about him, and they started to see some changes on him being more attentive at school, more positive. So we were noticing this, not only ourselves, not only family, not only friends, but also teachers as well. So this is what YTP is about. We know that during our youth, while we are youth, there are many challenges that we go through. There's many questions. Sometimes we don't know how to address certain situations, and maybe, as when we're young, sometimes we don't want to speak with our parents necessarily, but we still need a good and mature advice for it. So that's what we're about. We want to help youth to go through these challenges and make the right choices so that we can have positive and healthy individuals. So we're happy to share a little bit of what our program is about with you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Katie and Juan. Greatly appreciated. We really appreciate the chance to hear about some of our newer programs, and you can see we're trying to evolve with times to meet people where they're at and provide specialized supports, and we know we're making a difference in people's lives. And we continue to do a lot of the things that are more traditional in nature and you may have experienced over decades with us. So really delighted that you could share that story and other stories that you've heard here tonight. I'm just going to wrap things up here. This is really coming to a conclusion now. We have lots of more food that we're hoping that you'll eat or bring home with you and eat. So please grab some food before you go from the table. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank, for this particular event, I didn't thank those who really were pivotal in its organization. And so I'm going to name 3 people because they were more directly involved, but lots of people were supportive of the event, including those who came up and spoke this evening. So my thanks to them as well, of course. But Christina Harley, thank you very much for your contributions in organizing this. Also want to thank Emily Brown for her contributions to this, and Elise Shear. Thank you, the 3 of you, for helping to organize this. I really appreciate it. I think it's been a wonderful evening, and I'm glad to have had the chance to see all of you. As you leave, in addition to the boatloads of food that surely you're going to be carrying in all of your pockets and arms, I hope that you'll save some room in one hand for one of those potted plants that you see off on the side there as a memory for this evening, but also you'll find on it a QR code which will bring you to our annual report for 2022, and it highlights many of the things we've had the chance to talk about here. But it provides you the chance to read through it at your leisure. Thanks again to everybody for coming, and have a nice evening.